Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2003, here as we end the go-home show for Mayhem 2003 here in TEW 2020. But again, before we actually chart the last Nitro, let me just go over real quick the standings in the prediction contest going into the second half of the quarterfinals. So in 5th place, we got the person who titled their prediction world title, and they predicted RVD to win. That's at 13 points. J-Nap is at 14 points. Rise of the Van Dam prediction is at 14 points. World title, Sean O'Hare, is at 14 points. And in the lead right now is the Inter XFL. Of course, there's a whole bunch of matches to go, and the finals, the quarter/semifinals and the actual finals at the pay-per-view. So, of course, this could all change as nobody's quite out of it. But again, remember, quarterfinal matches were worth 3 points. The matches tonight are worth 3 points. The 4 semifinal matches at the pay-per-view are worth 5 points. Then the final, who has chosen the winner will get 10 points. So, but that's it for that. So I'll be back in just a second with the actual show. Alright, and we're actually starting the show with our pre-show match. As in a poor pre-show match, Eric Paris, Jack Evans, and Paul London, otherwise known as the Flippy Dudes, or us, I guess, defeated Sean Shasiak, Reno, and Romeo Lovernrice of Urban Legion in 1441. Paul London pinned Romeo with the London Calling. This gets a 66. London gets a 73. Jack Evans gets a 74. Eric Paris gets a 69. Romeo gets a 42. Reno gets a 59. And Sean Shasiak gets a 59. Solid little pre-show match just to get some people in ring time as we go to the main event, as we go to the actual show. So we start out with basically the Los Guerreros, Chuck Palumbo, and of course Stacy Keibler backstage. We're basically go over the fact that Eddie Guerrero is still not clear to wrestle, but he will be ready for Mayhem versus Flair. And the Horsemen have always been scum, but he has trust in Chavo tonight and Palumbo at the pay-per-view. The Guerreros may lie, cheat, and steal in the ring homes, but we do it all in the ring. We leave it all out there. We don't attack people in parking lots. We don't try to pack people off the ring. We may hit you with Rit. We may hit you with chair, but then we'll hit you with a big old frog splash. And there's a reason why I'm the world champion, because I'm the best wrestler on the planet. And after tonight, after I beat a legend like you, Flair, my legacy cannot be denied. And then Palumbo steps in and says, all this is on you, Flair, by getting involved in my business when you could have not said anything about Stacy. And Kanyon, there is no conspiracy. You're just nutty. So solid promo. Gets an 82. So again, this is only 4 minutes, but and plus I actually rated Chavo because I can't not rate him forever. So 82, perfectly solid promo considering it's 4 minutes. So let's roll into our next thing, which is actually another promo as we cut to the outside of the arena where we have O'Hare and Bischoff meeting up to try to avert William Storm, Mike Awesome, and Billy Kidman as they try to enter the ring. Basically, O'Hare says, Bischoff's like, did you guys not see it? I would not see the video last night. You're not going to ruin the main event, okay? So no, you're just stay. Go back to your hotels. And, Storm's like, you're just upset that we're going after your golden boy, your golden goose, and that you don't want people you want just to be forgotten to actually make a chance. And Bischoff's like, and Awesome's, you're scared that someone like Mike Awesome, a former icon of the Extreme, might actually make a dent here in World Championship Wrestling. And Eric's like, no, I don't care, but I've been promoting a big match against 2 of my hot young stars, and you guys want to screw it up, and I'm not going to let it happen, okay? If whoever wins, great. If Helen wins, great. But I don't want you mucking it up, so go whine somewhere else. And, you've been saying, like, a shock's coming, O'Hare. It's just not going to be the shock you think. Because I'll be at the pay-per-view, and I'm going to be advancing no matter who I face. And you're just going to be stuck in the ring if you manage to get past Helms. And O'Hare just shocked and say, we'll see about that. 72, again, solid stuff. Storm, some of these guys aren't the best promo guys, but, really solid stuff to lead things up. Then we have a quick thing where Gail Kim is out here to commentate for the big, basically all-comers women match to determine the number 1 contender to the women's title at Mayhem. And then move forward to where in an abysmal match, which actually makes sense considering just the mess of people in this match. So in an abysmal match, Jordan Cole defeated Angel Fox, Beth Phoenix, Celine Cartier, Amber O'Neil, Lexi James, Natty Neidhart, and Emi Sakura in 10-27 when Jordan Cole pinned Amber O'Neil. So this is just a mess of a match, like where basically people are tagging in, taking it out. It's just a complete mess at the end, but Cole's able to get the pinfall victory on Amber to become the number 1 contender, which I'll pre-book here real quick. Actually, no, I won't pre-book it on screen because I have other stuff, so let me... But yeah, this match gets a 47. Lexi got some broken ribs. That's unfortunate for her. But Amber got 51. Angel Fox got a 58. Beth Phoenix got a 47. Celine Cartier got a 54. Jordan Cole got a 49. Lexi James got a 52. Natty Natter got a 30. And Amy Sakura got a 50. So, again, this was just a sloppy as hell match. But everybody, gets their spot in, but Cole gets the big win. And then afterwards, we have Gail Kim holding the title up to Jordan as Cole celebrates as the announcers hype that big women's world title match, as this gets a 58. Then we go backstage where we have Booker T and Goldberg in the back, talking about what happened last, that, Kidman got lucky and beat him, and, and Goldberg got screwed over by Mesias. Booker's got to do something tonight to take the fight to Deadpool. Goldberg's like, man, I was telling you not to push it last week, but after they screwed me over, I'm ready to kick ass just like you. We need to end this war against Deadpool one way or another. They're all next. And Booker says, suckers. And 81, just to sort of set up, that things are really, really coming to a head. Even after War Games, even after the big matches at Halloween Havoc, they still, these two big WCW babyfaces want to put a final blow in against the Deadpool. This gets an 81. As then we basically, come back from commercial, as we see a camera basically see Vampiro leaving the Deadpool locker room, and he's seemingly upset, punching the wall, before he just shakes his head and just walks away. Then a couple minutes later, Morningstar comes out, sort of serene and, nodding. So, trouble in Dark City, or I guess Deadpool City, whatever you want to call it. Regardless, it seems like, the Deadpool, there's some questions, because, Vampiro was questioning the plan a couple weeks ago, and it seems like the plan is still in place, and Vampiro is still not happy about it. This gets to 71, because, again, it was just a short backstage segment, and, nobody was really doing much on screen. Then we go to our big match, in a big quarterfinal match, in a superb match. Jeff Hardy defeated Mesias in 12:32 when Mesias was counted out after being attacked by Bill Goldberg. So what I see happen here is basically, force Mesias throws around Jeff Hardy. I mean, that's what Jeff Hardy was built to do. Big slams, but, Hardy fights back. He hits his big, splash thing in the corner. He hits the modified twist of fate. He hits his big leg drop. But Mesias throws him outside, but, Hardy fights back, hits a big springboard, but, it looks like, Mesias is really going to take him apart, because at the end of the day, he's the giant guy, and Hardy's just the massive bone taker, but, the ref goes down, the match spills to the outside, and Goldberg comes out and just spears the hell out of Mesias through the ringside barrier, and throws him back, into the ringside area, but then Jeff Hardy places him on a table, goes up to the top, and hits a huge swanton through the table, and then rolls back in as the referee recovers and counts to 10, counting out Mesias. So this gets an 80, Hardy gets a 77, Mesias gets an 89 because he's great. And yeah, this was probably, I don't think anybody picked this, but I mean, as far as the booking goes, I think you can sort of understand it. I didn't want neither Mesias or Goldberg in sort of the final match, because that just sort of overshadows any other people who could be in the finals, even if they don't win. So, and there's a long proud history in pro wrestling of people top stars screwing each other in tournaments. This gets an 80, so really a good match. And then the post show is, of course, Mesias is mad, so he just choke slams the ref and walks away. And this gets a 69. Nice. And then we're backstage for another big promo as we have Flair and Kanyon and Long Lawler. Oh, shit. I forgot to mark Chavo's off. Well, okay. Anyway, this gets an 88. At least he wasn't rated. Anyway, so basically, what happens is, Flair, Kanyon, Jordan Miller are all backstage. They point out that, Jeff Jarrett's, is training and Douglas is out on the town, but, Horsemen are still the Horsemen, because, Kanyon says nobody's better than Kanyon, and you'll see for sure, not only tonight, but in the warm-up match against Palumbo, as I soften up, as I'll soften up Palumbo for you, Slick Rick. And then Rick comes and says, Eddie, I took you to school long ago, and don't think because you had some success up north that it's so much different now, right? Importantly, right now, you're a wounded duck. Sure, you'll be cleared by the pay-per-view. And right now, you hold that title. But I made that title. I held it 16 times all over this grand earth. I was a jet-flying son of a gun, and I still am. Because you've had that title for a world in the hay. But, brother, I was married to it for a decade. Do you think just because you're the world champion now, you mean more than that title? No. Diamonds Are Forever, and so is Ric Flair, and you're going to find that out at Mayhem. 88, really good promo. And then, come back from commercial, and there's a backstage promo with Jeremy Borash, which gets at 58. As basically, they say that, they're still the best team, and at the pay-per-view, after beating the Hart Legacy again, they'll be sent to the back of the line, and they'll have to face some real competition, as they prove once again they're the future of tag team. They're the future of tag team wrestling in WCW. Then we have our big sort of hour one main event, as they both had great heat and good wrestling. Ric Flair and Kanyon defeated Chavo Guerrero and Chuck Palumbo in 1448, while Ric Flair pinned Chavo Guerrero using the ropes for leverage. This is basically just classic tag match back and forth. But in the end, Ric Flair does Ric Flair things and cheats to win. Foot on the ropes, roll up, and use the leverage to get the win. This gets an 84. Palumbo gets an 82. Kanyon gets an 63. Kanyon gets an 87. Ric Flair gets an 84. Good stuff. And of course, the post match, the beatdown continues as Flair and Kanyon go after Chavo, or Palumbo tries to fight back. But then Eddie runs in with a chair, sort of scattering him, as Flair and Kanyon fight. Decides discretion is the better part of valor, and he's still officially not cleared. He can still run into the chair and cause chaos, so he gets the hell out of town. This gets an 86, really good solid follow up as we heat up the big matches for Mayhem. Then we're backstage with Shane Helms, as he's not worried. I was simply talking to the Triumvirate about our mutual hatred of people like Sean O'Haire, who don't understand what the future of WCW is about. It's about people like me, not people like him. I was the greatest United States champion of all time, and he thinks just because he's won a few matches, he's the future. No way. I'm the future. My Helms legacy is the future, and tonight he's going to have to face that fact. 81, good promo as we move on. As in a bout of great heat and good wrestling, Sting defeated Vampiro in 957 when Vampiro was disqualified when Morningstar ran in and attacked Sting. So, this is just, Vampiro, is, winning, winning with heel tactics from the start, butting in. Sting is basically making his comeback. And the moment he hits the big Stinger splash, and it looks like he's about to, hit his Scorpion Death Drop or lock down the Scorpion Death Lock. Scorpion Death Drop or lock on the Scorpion Death Lock. Wow, those two moves sounds pretty similar. Morningstar and Lestat run in, and it's a 3-on beatdown, and it seems like the plan is, and this was the plan, that since Morningstar was already into the quarterfinals, there's no use for Vampiro to get in as well, and that's probably why Vampiro was upset, because he probably thinks he's still the leader and the bright shining light of Deadpool, since he's the former world champion. But it seems since Morningstar had the slightly better draw, he gets to get into the quarterfinals. But regardless, there's the big 3-on-1 beatdown, but out of nowhere comes Booker to making the save and clearing the ring, and just yelling at Vampiro that I want you, sucker, I want to get you, and this isn't over, as he helps Sting up. 87, again, really good thing. Baby faces stick together, making saves because they're baby faces and good people. So of course they save against the evil heels. And we come back from commercial backstage, basically with Booker running into Bischoff's office still with the chair in his hand. Or actually it works if it's a bat. So let's say that was a bat, because Sting bat and everything, and he just sort of slaps the bat on the table and says, "Sucker, I want Vampiro. I don't care what you gotta do. I want him at Mayhem." And Bischoff's like, "Well, you don't have a match. He doesn't have a match. You're both big stars. So be it. You got it." Booker's like, "Really?" Bischoff's like, "Yes, I'm in charge here. I can make matches. You've got it. Now just don't kill each other in the next 6 days." Spoiler. Hopefully nobody saw that spoiler on the pre-booking page there for a second. Oof. Okay, this is unfortunate. Okay. Well, Okay, guess they still need to get a little better. Okay, anyway, so then in our main event, in a big match, in a bout that superb wrestling, your right heat, Sean Hare defeated Shane Helms in 16:55 by pinfall with Widowmaker. So this gets you 78. Helms gets an 85, O'Hare gets an 86. So it's a back and forth match, but it's a really spotty match, as I guess neither of these guys are the best workers yet. They can hit moves, they have star power, but they can't really tell a story yet. So it's basically move, move, move. But in the end, O'Hare's able to Widowmaker and get the huge pinfall victory over Helms to advance into the quarterfinals. Yeah, so let me just look at the dirt sheet real quick to see if there's anything else bad. Let's see here. Hot crowd, stamina. Okay, little O'Hare took a slight ding for stamina, but I don't think it was anything here. But lack psychology, yeah, okay. And not quite super high heat for a main event. Okay, but still, really good match. And of course, this is good for the future since they're already getting 78s together. Again, O'Hare with the big win to close the show as we move on to Mayhem after getting 82, which, isn't terrible, but isn't like, the end of the isn't great either. But give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up the updated scores as we head into Mayhem. All right, and now time for the updated standings in the prediction contest. So at the bottom is Rise of the Van Dam, who unfortunately didn't get anything right. But since he still has Van Dam as his pick for the winner, he still has a pretty decent, he's not completely out of it. Person predicted Art World title RVD, who didn't have the best time, who got 16 points. But again, if RVD wins, they'll be actually sitting pretty. Next is world title Sean O'Hare, who of course got O'Hare in the next round, but is still a little low behind that, so he has to really hope, O'Hare's the final winner, and he has a chance to win. We got Janep, who's at 20 points, who, had some good predictions, including predicting, I believe Jeff Hardy would be in the quarterfinals. So if Hardy somehow gets to the semifinals, I think he'll be okay. I forgot, I'd have to double check, but, and then finally Xander XFL, who managed to pick both Morningstar and O'Hare to the next round. So he's sort of in a pretty good position. But, a lot of it just depends, if you picked RV, basically the really big decision is if RVD or if O'Hare is the final winner. Because if I remember right, and again, I'd have to double check. Matter of fact, let me do that real quick. Right, so looking back at things, I just had to double check because I wasn't 100% sure. So if I actually look at things, basically, since one person selected O'Hare to win, which is pretty obvious, 3 people selected RVD to win, which is pretty obvious, and one person picked somebody to win who is no longer in the tournament. So for that person, they have to basically hope that neither O'Hare and RVD wins, and one person that they pick to get into the semifinals gets in, but nobody else's pick actually wins the actual finals. But again, for the rest, it's basically, who did you actually pick to win in the finals, with some chances depending on, for example, if you pick like 2 semifinal winners, so basically, let's say if you pick 2 semifinalists but you don't pick the winner, that's only 10 points. But if you pick 1 semifinalist and the final winner, that's 15 points. So that might be better. So again, almost anybody's game. So actually, I think it's still anybody's game, like in theory. But we'll just have to see. And again, I'll go over those results, as we go through both. Basically what I'll do is I'll update the standings after, as I go through the pay-per-view. First after the completion of the quarterfinals, then of course finally after the finals. And once the finals is posted, once the pay-per-view is posted, I'll be emailing people or contacting them via Reddit for their decisions. Their decisions won't be have to be finalized until until Starrcade, because any things as far as matches, dev call-ups, etc. won't be happening until after Starrcade, since that's basically the equivalent of our WrestleMania and start of the new year and the new sort of wrestling year. But anyway, off to the actual show, as I got a couple more things to go over for the end of this video. Yeah, 82 is one of our not our best show. Honestly, I wish it would have been better, but that dinging psychology and the low storyline heat for the main event really screwed us over. But these things happen. I could have just thrown Kanyon and somebody in the main event and probably got a 90. But want to actually push storylines. Again, let's look at our main real quick. Okay. Yeah, Lucky James was injured. That's unfortunate. First, real quick, I want to show you guys our show history. So, first Saturday night for the last 2 nights. So, for last week, it was Miss Jones and Ernest Miller arguing. Felix Skipper defeating Ray Gordy. The Roman Legion say they're back in control. Jim Jack and Stasiak winning a squash over Blitz and Yang. Cash defeating Scott Taylor. And then in the main event, Gigantes defeating Alex Wright. Just because. And then the Saturday night before the pay-per-view is Miss Jones sealing the arena with somebody. The Roman Legionnaires of Swinger and Romeo defeating Lash Rue and Norman Smiley. Ernest Miller looking for Miss Jones. Ebony Sable winning another squash defeating Scott Taylor. And then Amber O'Neal and Lexi James defeating Cheerleader Melissa and Natty Neidhart. And then in our main event of the sort of the go-home show of Saturday night, Jonathan Toro defeats Dustin Rhodes to retain the World TV title. So yeah, that's it. And we're not going to go pretty straight to Raw as usual because of course it's basically since we're have the end of the month, that means the WWF has the third week. So let's go over what they did for Survivor Series real quick. So first, let's go over Survivor Series, which got 92 because of course it did. So we had Ivory defeating Elizabeth Love. We had Taz and Wild and Wicked, which is, I believe, Jerry Lynn and Nelson Knight, because of course it is, defeating Kevin Nash and Quick and Sexy, which is K Quick and Brian Christopher in 78. Molly Holly defeated Lita and Selena Majors. Mark Hardy defeated Rikishi to retain the European title. Terry, of all people, defeated Trish Stratus and Jackie Gata to win the women's title in 68. Shane McMahon defeated Steven Richards. Team Angle retained the tag titles against the Outcast, who, remember, if you don't remember, is Rhino and Tommy Dreamer. In 81, and by DQ, The Undertaker defeated Ravens in a tables match. Triple H defeated Mick Foley, which is interesting because Foley hadn't wrestled, I think, since Royal Rumble. William Regal defeated Chris Benoit for the IC title in 89. Kurt Angle defeated Scott Hall in just a random 99. And Brock Lesnar defeated Shawn Michaels to retain the world title in a 99 as well. So, good show for them. And then Raw last night. Let's see here if we go all the way down. So we had Val Venis and the Radicals, which is Saturn and Malenko, defeated Brian Christopher and TNA. We had Lita defeating Jackie Gata, The Undertaker winning a squash, Kevin Nash defeating Steven Richards in a squash, Kurt Angle defeated Nick Dinsmore, and Triple H defeating DDP, and in the main event, Kane and Chris Jericho teaming up, defeating Chris Benoit and Brock Lesnar, and it ran another random 99. So fun stuff for that. Let's see here. Was there any other news of note? Let's see here. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so yeah, if we look at our storylines, we've got Palumbo and Flair at an 85, Cruiserweight Fun at a 61, Goldberg, Mesias and Sting at a 85, Gigantes and Steiner at a 67, the Mayhem Tournament, at 84, O'Hare versus the Triumvirate along with Shane Helms at a 74, the Road to Starrcade at an 87, Tag Wars at a 68, Vampiro versus Booker at an 81, and the women's title at a 50. So solid stuff. Merch-wise, let's see here. Merch-wise, Goldberg is still selling a lot more than anybody else. Then RVD, O'Hare, Booker, Steiner, Palumbo, Kanyon, Mesias, Vampiro, Ray Jr., Eddie Guerrero, and then Flair, Johnny Lawler. Eddie, I think, is down because he's not wrestling, and he's currently quote-unquote injured. Let me see. Is there anything else? Oh, right. I wanted to go over the actual pay-per-view lineup, right? Roster, creative, medical, size. Sorry, guys. I'm just completely blank on if there's anything else to show you guys. No, yeah, that's it. So let's go over the final show for the pay-per-view. So, for the actual pay-per-view, of course, in our two big sort of setup matches for Starrcade, we've got Eddie Guerrero versus Ric Flair in a non-title match. We've got Chuck Palumbo versus Kanyon, of course, because Palumbo and Flair have been feuding, and Kanyon wants to prove, he's truly the best. We got Booker T versus Vampiro in the match that was set up basically last week, but has been really raging since, the Vampiro took the title from Booker T, a year ago at this point. We've got Gail Kim versus Jordan Cole for the women's title, which you saw set up. We have the tag title continuing to be in flux as AMW now defend the title against the Hart Legacy. We have the interesting three-way Cruiserweight match as Jamie Noble thinks he can defeat both of the World of Air Raid at the same time because he's a cocky heel. And, it remains to be seen whether Air Raid can work together Even though they've been multiple-time tag champions, a single championship is totally different from the tag team championship. And then, of course, now we have the 4 quarterfinal matches. So, we'll just go to the tournaments for that. There we go. So, here we go. The quarterfinals. Sting versus Morningstar. This, we've seen this feud. We've got in a battle of basically cruiserweight supremacy, Jeff Hardy versus Billy Kidman. We've got the Horsemen taking on Horseman member Jeff Jarrett taking on Sean O'Haire, and in a huge babyface versus babyface match, RVD versus Ray Jr. If, Ray Jr. somehow wins this match, 3/5 of the prediction contest is basically screwed. If Jarrett somehow gets a sneaky win over O'Haire, that knocks out another person. And of course, maybe Sting might make the last veteran run. Morningstar might solidify his control of the Deadpool. Jeff Hardy might, make a big, huge career move. Billy Kidman might prove that it's finally his time to shine. And Sean O'Haire might prove the future is now. Of course, RVD might just, make the huge win and bring WCW into high times. Regardless, it's going to be a big pay-per-view, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it. But that's it for now. So if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below on what you're enjoying and not enjoying, and subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including, this series, my WCW 1993 No Eric Bischoff series, MLW 2005, and of course Cornell vs. Weekends with East Coast Wars in 1997, and the TCW 2016 in TEW 2020 series. But that's it for now, so I'll talk to you later, and have a good one.